Welcome everyone to the 105th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Elizabeth Taylor and Michael Wilding. This is the second episode in our sort of mini-series looking at Elizabeth Taylor and her husbands. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a synastry chart looking at the personal planets, signs, aspects, and if birth time available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us weekly, and let's get right into this one. Starting off with the sun, we have Liz's sun in Pisces and Michael's sun in Leo. Michael easily overpowers Liz and Liz needs to learn to be explicit with Michael. Liz is okay with Michael's need for being adored, and Liz's elusiveness and subtlety frustrates Michael. Michael's sun overlaid in Liz's 8th house. There is a strong bond and emotional dependence. Michael is captivated by Liz and Michael may feel he cannot leave. Liz has the ability to transform Michael and both feel initially afraid of this relationship. Liz may have come into Michael's life when he's at the bottom and they both weirdly enjoy the darkness and depth of the relationship. So, I mean, this kind of goes back to how, Liz is okay with Michael being, a bit more adored, being a bit more on the pedestal maybe, potentially, hopefully we'll see a bit more. Liz's sun opposite Michael's Mars. Sparks fly and Michael is defensive. They both assert their independence and they compete with each other. I think Michael was an actor, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he has any sort of other affiliations as far as I know the Wilding name. So I'm just going to assume he was some kind of actor media guy. So in that way they would compete with their careers. And they get annoyed with each other, which the only thing we have seen is Michael getting frustrated with Liz being a bit more vague and not communicating the best, it seems like. Liz's sun square Michael's Jupiter. There's differences in values and they may overindulge each other. Excess is stemmed from good intention and they have a strong desire to make each other happy. Michael has the ability to cheer up Liz and they both may expect too much of the relationship. There definitely seems to be some expectations before the relationship because we did see that they both feel initially afraid of it. So hopefully we'll see a bit more about maybe the meeting potentially because there seems to be some anticipation of it. They both encourage each other to self-indulge and be impractical. Liz's sun square Michael's Saturn. Michael sacrifices his freedom and Liz is too sensitive to criticism. They both attempt to support each other and they both will mature. Liz may outgrow Michael and Michael tends to be critical of Liz. It's interesting how we're seeing that Liz might outgrow Michael and we did see that she is the one sort of transforming him. But potentially, she can grow in this relationship as well, even though she's helping Michael to grow. They both can learn a lot and Liz feels blocked and discouraged by Michael. They both seem to feel a bit blocked by the other because we saw earlier how Michael feels he cannot leave the relationship. Liz may feel romantically rejected by Michael and Liz sees Michael as the tradition she wants to overcome. They both need to really want this relationship to work. I mean, I see that. They definitely seem to have their, challenges. Michael's sun opposite Liz's Saturn. Liz has the habit of parenting Michael, and it's a relationship of duties and obligation. I wonder if that was the reason maybe why they got together. It was some kind of obligation they had to, get into a relationship or something like that. Michael's identity might become suppressed and Michael is initially attracted to Liz's maturity. I wonder if this sort of transformation that Liz is doing for him is maybe in more of a parenting sense. Maybe through that, she does transform him, but his identity does become suppressed. Michael feels blocked and discouraged by Liz, and Liz has the tendency to criticize and nag at Michael. So they both seem to be a bit more critical of each other, it seems like. So now it's on to moon. We have both their moon signs in Scorpio, so they have a volatile and passionate relationship, and there's a deep attachment. We're seeing again deep attachment, strong bond. Possibility to get explosive if they clash, and they understand each other's emotions very well. They both crave intense emotional experiences. Michael's moon overlaid in Liz's 11th house. Michael sees Liz as the dream person, and Michael feels at ease around Liz. I'm going to assume potentially like this whole feeling at ease thing would have to do with her maybe parenting or tendency to parent Michael. Potentially she is just very nurturing to him, which, would help, someone feel ease around you if you're quite nurturing. Liz feels relaxed around Michael, and Michael feels Liz will answer his hopes and wishes. Would this have to do anything with the whole meeting point, anticipating the meeting? Potentially he was interested in Liz because maybe, I don't know, he saw she would solve a problem for him in some way. They both feel they can be themselves and they're never really mad at each other, which I feel like would help. Michael's moon is square Liz's Mars. It's a stormy relationship and an emotional roller coaster, which we did see that emotions can get quite volatile, even though they do understand that very well. Both need to work out issues as they come, and difficult relationship emotionally if there are children. I'm not sure if they had children. I'm pretty sure for the last reading we did, there definitely weren't children. But that is there. Liz sees Michael as too sensitive and Michael sees Liz as too insensitive. So this is going back to how she has that tendency to criticize Michael. They're very reactive to each other. So going back to how they have that sort of more volatile, passionate relationship we saw earlier. Liz does not have the patience to connect with Michael's feelings. Interesting, considering we did see that they both seem to understand each other's emotions well. Maybe this is coming from a place she doesn't want to maybe sit down and listen or something like that. Possibility for codependency to occur, and Liz's independence makes Michael feel insecure. Kind of expected at this time. I'm not sure where Liz was at this point in her career, but I'm sure at this point she would have started to be up and coming, rising, and all of that, starting to make her name known really well. And obviously in that sort of time era, more successful woman in a marriage, tends to make a man feel insecure. It's hard to relax together and resentment can grow. Michael's moon is sextile Liz's Saturn. Liz feels Michael is not committed to her and it's not a shallow relationship. Liz is accountable with Michael and Liz provides practical help. Michael's moon is trine Liz's Pluto. It's an intense meeting and they both will need to let go of fake personas. I imagine this would have to do because for all we have seen when it comes to the meeting, I guess you could say, is, they both seem to have expectations coming into it and they both seem, not the best expectations it seems like, they seem to be a bit scared. So I feel like in order to sort of maybe get past that fear and that sort of expectation, they both really will need to let go of fake personas, this is actually who I am. They have a strong bond and they both can transform each other, which we did see more so on Liz's end, but I think we did see that Michael helps Liz out as well. They both bring change and truth in social and political areas together and they're involved in organizations together. They can solve problems in their community and they can go through difficulties together. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Liz's Mercury in Pisces and Michael's Mercury in Leo. Liz might find Michael self-righteous and egotistic. Not really surprisingly. So we did see in the beginning that she tends to put him up on a pedestal. And since then, we did see that he is not very fond of her independence, which you could see that as, Liz potentially seeing Michael as being a bit more self-righteous, egotistical, you're scared of my career, independence, Michael can be too direct and brash for Liz, going back to sort of criticism. Liz can be a buzzkill for Michael. I feel like I've mentioned it, maybe I haven't already, but I feel like with the whole parenting thing, she may potentially be taking on a motherly, nurturing role. We did see how he feels a bit more relaxed around her. I think I mentioned it then, but seeing how she provides more practical help and she can be a bit of a buzzkill for Michael, those are also motherly, nurturing, parenting traits. So I wonder if maybe she falls into the role of being a mother here. She maybe subconsciously, consciously, maybe she fell into a more motherly role with Michael. Michael can be impatient with Liz and they learn from each other. Michael's Mercury overlaid in Liz's 8th house. Michael can hurt Liz with his words. Again, going back to the criticism. Michael is prone to dominating conversation and Liz takes conversation seriously. Conversations tends to get deep quickly and there's clear and precise conversation. I wonder if like Michael is prone to dominating conversation because it tends to get clear and precise, because we did see right in the beginning that Liz tends to be a bit more vague and all of that. So I wonder if like he is, dominating that conversation and like the clear and precise conversation is connected in that way, if that makes sense. Liz's Mercury opposite Michael's Mars. They need to learn to communicate. Yeah, the communication doesn't seem to be the best. Yeah, like they're both criticizing each other, which I guess they're opening up in that way. But then you have Michael seemingly a bit too, dominating in conversation and Liz not being so much. And it doesn't seem like either of them really want to listen to each other. Like we have Michael here being too impatient to, I guess, want to wait for Liz to speak and all of that. And we saw that Liz doesn't have the patience to connect with Michael. So yeah, I think communication will be great to work on. They likely bicker a lot and Liz's thoughts may rub Michael the wrong way. Liz feels her intelligence is being threatened by Michael. I assume this would go back to her sort of like independence she has, because, her career, her craft, it would be sort of where her intellectualness is most used. Michael wants Liz to be more docile and Michael frequently interrupts. Michael tries to force his opinion on Liz and there's difficulty to live together, which I guess is a good thing then. If Liz is prioritizing her career, obviously she wouldn't be around as much. Liz's Mercury square Michael's Jupiter. It's a relationship that expands consciousness. I mean, we have been seeing it sprinkled that they both, transform each other. I'm not sure in what way Michael is doing it for Liz, but with Liz, it seems like there is that sort of like mother nurturing thing going on there. Promising more is a problem, and there's a habit of interrupting Michael. Michael helps Liz go through hard times with optimism, and Michael may come off as holier than thou. I wonder, because we are seeing that a lot of Michael being more egotistical and all of that. I wonder if maybe he was some kind of like producer or had some higher connections in the industry. Michael is frustrated with Liz's analytical approach to life and there's communication difficulties, lack of understanding regarding the other's ideas, which we did see more so on Michael's than just before. They have a strong mental and intellectual bond and Michael may play a role of prophet to Liz. He's very egotistical here, isn't he? There's frequent misunderstandings and debates can turn into arguments and they have different philosophical views. Liz's Mercury square Michael's Saturn. It's a teaching and learning relationship and there's deep respect for the other's intelligence. This has also been sprinkled in, like they have this intellectual bond. I don't know in what way exactly, because we haven't seen a whole lot, like communication wise is a bit more poorer. But also it doesn't seem like, I guess Michael in particular doesn't seem to respect what makes Liz intelligence and where her intelligence lies and different viewpoints. I mean, we did see like socially and politically, like they do seem to align. Maybe in that way that they have the intellectual bond. Liz feels inferior to Michael and subtle competitiveness can become destructive. We did see right in the beginning they have that competitiveness. Liz may be intimidated by Michael's practicality. I wonder if this is part of their meeting, because we did see like they both feel initially afraid of the relationship and they have those expectations. Maybe Liz was intimidated by Michael. I wonder who he was in the industry. Like presumably he was in Hollywood and all of that. Potentially he could have been a producer or maybe just someone very experienced in the industry, just well connected. Serious tones in conversations and negativity and criticism sometimes takes over conversation. Not surprisingly so with the criticism, is it? They both question their role in their relationship. I mean, presumably a bit more Michael's end. I mean, I guess you could see with Liz as well. Like, Michael wants her a bit more docile, but she also seems to want her career as well. I guess he just seems to be a bit more threatened over Liz than anything else, and considering that Liz has this habit of parenting Michael, in that way he is inferior. He's not going to be dominant in that way. So he definitely has a bit of a mixed bag going on in that way, if that makes sense. Michael's Mercury opposite Liz's Mars, so this is a repeated aspect, just inverted. So everything from before is further emphasized. But also Michael feels his intelligence is being threatened by Liz. Liz wants Michael to be more docile, and Michael's thoughts may rub Liz the wrong way. Liz frequently interrupts, and Liz tries to force her opinion on Michael. I assume this would be in the way of like criticizing and nagging Michael, because otherwise she doesn't seem to be quite vocal. Now for the intermission, this video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry chart readings on my Etsy store. I do both basic and detailed ones. The basic ones are a bit more simple to understand and really good for those just beginning out in astrology, getting their heads around it, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed readings are very similar to what I do here, so it's a lot of it just with my insights and interpretation on the chart. So if you're interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot, readings and gifts, definitely check out my Etsy store for that. I'm always releasing new other things there as well. And you can even just favorite the store just to support me for free. Thank you for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for Venus. We have Liz's Venus in Aries and Michael's Venus in Leo. These are both fire signs. They both approach love with a direct and fiery attitude, and sparks fly, which we did see earlier. They admire each other. I hope they do, because it seems like they both have respectable qualities about the other, if that makes sense. Like, you know, Liz prioritizing her career and all of that, and it seems like she is still, I feel like, a bit dedicated to Michael. There doesn't seem to be a lack of commitment on her end, and Michael seems to be someone respectable in the industry, so I'm sure they do admire each other to some extent. They both fall in love quickly, and Michael takes more love seriously than Liz. I wonder if maybe he feels this way because, you know, him wanting, I mean, we did see on both ends that, you know, they want the other to be more docile. But we did see that Michael is threatened by her independence. I wonder if he is just, you know, not happy with her lack of presence, and he's just wanting to be more present around, and in that way he feels like he's taking the relationship more seriously. They both tend to be self-centered, and they may get competitive with each other. They have lots of fun together, and when the relationship is good, it's very good. When it's bad, it's very bad. Oh, one of those. Michael may not get the attention he wants from Liz. I can't say I'm surprised, can I? Michael finds Liz charming and infuriating at the same time, and Liz finds Michael exciting and infuriating at the same time. So, which I'm not really surprised. Michael's Venus overlaid in Liz's 8th house. Michael is captivated by Liz, and Michael is willing to do anything for Liz. It's a transformative relationship we're seeing again. Liz has specific fantasies to Michael, so I wonder if, because we did see a bit more on Liz's end that there are some expectations because she's intimidated by him. So I wonder, like, I assume he is someone higher up than if she is having this sort of, like, I guess, you know, thoughts about Michael before they're actually meeting. Michael's Venus opposite Liz's Saturn. Michael feels as if he is below Liz. I wonder because there seems to be, like, Michael seems to be on the pedestal. He seems to be quite egotistical here. So as I've been saying, I assume he is just someone a bit more higher up in the industry. I wonder maybe like during this time is when Liz's career really like took off. Maybe like when she was starting to have her break. Conflict between tradition and youth. I think we did see, was it that Michael is the traditions that Liz wants to overcome? Presumably Liz is younger than, I assume, you know, 50s time. Age gap is kind of guaranteed. There's a karmic element to this relationship. Yeah, not surprisingly so, is it? The relationship begins with strong feelings of comfort and compatibility. Liz fears Michael's withdrawal, and over time, challenging dynamics surface. That's not great. Liz can become critical and demanding of Michael, and toxic cycles easily occur. Michael will eventually see Liz as unsympathetic, and there's a potential for long-term. How long were they together, I wonder? I probably should have looked that up. I've tried to avoid as much information as possible. I think a bit too much, Probably should have looked at like the actual length of the relationship. Liz will eventually see Michael as childish. I mean, I'm not really surprised. I feel like initially, like going into that sort of nurturing, mindset with someone, I'm sure initially that is very nice and sweet, but I'm sure over time it will feel like you're taking care of a child if that is what you're constantly doing. They both need to maintain their individuality. This seems to be important because we did see that it's important for them to let go of those fake personas. It's a difficult meeting. I really wonder how they met because it doesn't seem like it went well. Like we saw it as intense. I think that's the only slightly positive thing we've seen though. Care needs to be taken to avoid getting into negative cycles. Commitment and loyalty is very important. I feel like they're committed to each other. We really haven't seen anything to indicate otherwise. I mean, I guess you could see Liz's independence, but that seems to be like taking like physical space from their relationship rather than like, stepping out. They may be critical of each other's interests due to jealousy. I think this will more have to do with maybe like potential projects the other is taking on. Michael sees Liz as controlling and cold. I feel like this goes back to, it seems like a sort of more parenty role she stepped into this relationship. Liz sees Michael as being vain. Not surprisingly so. I feel like we've seen quite a lot already how he's very much egotistical. So now it's time for Mars. We have Liz's Mars in Pisces and Michael's Mars in Virgo. These are sister polarity signs and also mutable signs. They both have fluctuating energies. I can't really say I'm shocked, can I? Michael has a tendency to be critical with Liz, and Liz may find Michael's perfectionism hard to deal with. I feel like this would be more relating to maybe he has very specific standards and I guess things that like Liz doesn't feel she can keep up with, particularly when it comes to how present she is in the relationship and also sort of balancing her career as well. Liz is willing to please Michael, which we did see that they both have a desire to, make each other happy. Liz isn't direct enough for Michael. Interesting. Michael's Mars overlaid in Liz's 8th house. Could be a love-hate relationship, not surprisingly so, and Liz may feel possessive of Michael. It's a transformative relationship and they will never get over each other. Michael feels drawn to Liz and Liz feels like a damsel in distress around Michael. So it seems like the beginning of the relationship, like Liz was definitely the inferior one. So I wonder like if, her up and coming in her career during their relationship, their marriage, I should say, is where Michael started to, feel a bit more threatened. Liz feels mesmerized by Michael and there's a possibility of a taboo in the relationship. The only thing I can think of is, this will be Liz's second, marriage, which I guess even in old Hollywood terms, not shocking, but still I feel like potential for the public. That would be a taboo sort of thing. Although I'm not sure exactly what the age is, probably should have had a look. I am imagining like due to what we're seeing in this relationship that Liz would be younger in some sort of way, like definitely by a few years I'm imagining. Their Mars signs are opposite to each other, so they both want to assert themselves and they enjoy each other's company. They both need to learn how to cooperate and there's a lack of understanding of the other's anger, which I feel like goes back to how we saw there's a lack of understanding of the other's ideas and they're trying to change that in each other. There's an element of awareness, nice bare minimum. Energy generated between them is expressed in an unhealthy way. This goes back to how like sort of this relationship tends to be a bit more volatile, passionate and all of that. They get competitive. Liz's Mars squared Michael's Jupiter. They approach romance differently and neither really understands the other. Yeah, something that's unfortunately being repeated again and again here. They meet in a fun way. I'm going to imagine like this, like I don't feel like the meeting was fun, but potentially they met maybe at a party or something, or some, I don't know, other like set thing that is a bit more fun. They both enjoy the competitive nature of their relationship. I'm glad because it seems to be quite competitive. So it's nice that they're enjoying it at least. Which we did see right in the beginning as well, that they enjoy like the darkness and depth of the relationship, which I feel like is a nice softening factor in a way. Like it's, at least they're enjoying this sort of like chaos and competitiveness they have going on. Michael sees Liz as selfish, and arguments about who is better can come up. Interesting. I mean, wow, like literally competitive. Liz sees Michael's logic as hindrance, which this goes back to how like it was Liz that is trying to overcome Michael's, not emotions, traditions. Michael's tendency to be an overindulger irritates Liz. Strong difference in beliefs, and Michael teaches Liz the value of philosophy, which is interesting because we did see that they have like contrasting like philosophical like views and debates. So I wonder if this is something that Michael introduced and it just ended up being another way they can be competitive. Michael judges Liz's motivations, and they both tend to encourage each other to do reckless behavior. Michael may be a bad influence. Michael may be a bad influence on Liz, and they're likely to get in trouble together. Liz's Mars square Michael's Saturn. Michael may try to control Liz as he thinks she is immature. I mean, if we are seeing, like, there seems to be a sort of like age gap sort of thing going on here with Liz being the younger one. You know, if Michael is this powerful man in Hollywood and, you know, he is like, you know, married to this, you know, younger up and coming Hollywood star, you know, you kind of would fall into that she needs my guidance because she's immature compared to me. Liz tries to impress Michael, and Michael's standards are in conflict with Liz's efforts. I wonder maybe like she's trying to, if he is this big guy in Hollywood and Liz is trying to like impress him maybe with like actually being successful in Hollywood, I wonder if one of her motivations is to impress Michael, which we did just see that he doesn't really like her motivations. Interesting. Liz's Mars trine Michael's Pluto. It's intense romantically. It seems like potentially an opposites attract kind of thing then maybe, like, because we did see that they both are quite opposite romantically, or that they don't understand each other's romantic ideas. They accomplish a lot together and they enjoy the power play between them. Oh gosh, they enjoy the chaos. There's lots of primitive energy and they both go through big changes in this relationship. Possibility for both to get possessive of each other, not surprisingly so, and Liz helps bring out Michael's subconscious to the surface. Michael's Mars conjunct Liz's Pluto. Fantasy is a big part of the relationship, which we did see that Liz has those specific fantasies to Michael, so it seems like there were definitely expectations when it came to the meeting of these two. Like, it seems like they both would have like thought about each other before they actually met. Michael may resent Liz for not giving him enough space. I'm gonna assume this is just like an unbalanced sort of like, you know, defunct note, because from what we have seen, nah. Although it could be in different ways. Maybe he's just kind of like picky in that way. Can't be here when I want, don't be here when I don't want you to be. Michael is fascinated by Liz's spirituality and ethereal mindset, and they are both supportive and humanitarian people. This is a nice thing they seem to have in common, like being humanitarian and everything. Liz sees Michael as a knight in shining armor, which we did see that she tends to feel like a damsel in distress here. Liz is likely to become dependent on Michael. Okay, so that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one. I feel like this one, in comparison to the first reading we covered, it was definitely just as intense and chaotic, I'm thinking. Like, there definitely seems to be a pattern with the sort of intensity and like the chaos of the relationship with Liz. If you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings weekly. Besides that, give this video a like and I will see you guys next time. Bye!